I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Thank you so much for joining me. I so appreciate it. All right, we're going to step outside the box here a little bit. I've not heard this, but the title sure looks interesting. It's called I'm Having a Baby and I Have No Money. All right, so let's hear it.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Kathy starts this hour off in Indianapolis. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, guys. How are you today?
Better than we deserve. What's up in your world?
Oh, I'm trying to get there on your level. I am calling today to ask you guys kind of what you think my next steps might be. I've gotten myself into quite the mess. I have followed all of the rules of never opening a credit card in my life. I'm 27, and I've made it this far without one, and I've kind of gotten to a point where I am desperate enough that I have been riding the line of wanting to open one this week because
I have to pause for just a minute. I'm focused on the I'm having a baby and I have no money, and she's jumping into credit cards. I would almost think the credit cards would be the least of her worries at this point. All right.
of all of my debt problems that I'm having.
Yeah,
So
debt
that's
problems
kinda
are
where
always
I'm at.
solved by more debt. What do you mean?
And a lot of debt problems, from my experience, are self-inflicted. We point the gun at ourselves and shoot.
So I've kind of gotten myself into a predicament with bills that are owed, and my shovel is not nearly big enough, and I feel like I'm running myself into the ground trying to do side hustles, and I just graduated in June.
I'm assuming she's a single parent. At 56 years old, I'm just going on past experience and all of that. I'm assuming she is a single parent, that there is not a father figure here. Just my assumption. I could be wrong. I hope I am, but you know.
And started as a hairstylist, and the money is just not there like I thought it was going to be. And I know you kind of have to get clientele and build up your marketing and all that stuff.
Where does the baby come into all this?
And after I signed my apartment lease, I found out that I was pregnant. So I'm 6 months into that journey now, and I have bitten off way more than I can chew as far as what I can afford.
Okay.
Okay. What does your husband make?
I'm not married.
I'm going to be socially gracious, and I'm not going to give myself any snaps because I think under this particular circumstance it would be inappropriate to snap away and say I was right. But for the record, I was right.
Oh, okay.
Let us all have a momentary silence for just a moment. Okay.
Where is the father in the picture?
Let me guess. The father's, let me guess. I'm going to say, well, since she's scared, she's calling into a radio show, and she realizes she's bitten off more than she can chew. I would say the father is nowhere to be around. Limited presence, and I would dare to even say that this was unplanned. Because as she said, she signed a lease for an apartment and then found out she was pregnant. So definitely an unplanned event. Okay. We're not going to make any judgments on that because a baby is involved. But, well, we all make judgments in one way or another, but we shall be extra polite. However, I'm going to say the father's not around. The father is not going, I mean, she's calling on a radio show to two guys about a baby she's about to have. Hey, I just speak at the truth.
Financially not. He is excited about the baby and all of that good stuff, but financially not contributing at all.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? I'm excited to have the baby, but don't ask me for crap because I can't afford anything. Oh my goodness.
Well, I guess I'll just start there.
I mean, she's calling in to a very Christian host who is, I almost feel like she's calling the wrong people. Almost like she needs to be calling child services. But I mean, I do understand, maybe she was getting her finances in line. This is totally going to topsy-turvy. It's like, I hate to break it to you, honey. Whatever finances you had, you can probably pretty much throw it out the window. Whatever financial plan you had, you're going to have to make a sharp detour.
He really doesn't have that option, morally or legally.
Well, we can say that, but unfortunately, if he's got nothing but two rocks to bang together, I mean, yeah, he morally and legally has a duty, but if it's like trying to get blood out of a turnip,
If you father a child in the United States of America, you get to pay child support.
and talk to all the mothers that have no child support because the fathers aren't paying. And don't forget, there are fathers who do take on the responsibility of the kids because the mother was such a deadbeat, they awarded the child to the father. So you got to remember that too.
That's how that works. So sorry, Bubba. You get to step up and
This type of Bubba don't care. This type of Bubba is happy to get someone knocked up and walk away. And I'm sorry, but oh my goodness, I'm just so excited about the child, but I can't help support the woman financially. No, you're not excited about the child. They're just words that you're saying. You're just playing. You're dancing to the tune that you've been told, but when the child comes now, he's not there. He's not there right now.
participate in the financial side of the equation. Why, does he not work, or is he just a twerp?
I would, it's more of,
When you can't just directly answer it, it means he's more than just that. I was like, well, let me think about it. Not a definite. No, he's not that at all. He's a very responsible and loving man.
I think it's more of a laziness problem. If
Yeah.
I'm speaking
Well, but for a few minutes, he had all the energy in the world.
from my own,
Okay.
from my own perspective.
So
So she chose a man that was lazy. Ladies, ladies, ladies. Now I know I'm not a parent, okay, but I can tell you from what at least I was raised. All right, you really got to pick the father wisely. Got to make somebody who's willing to go to work. I seriously doubt this man changed his behavior before she got pregnant. It's like, oh, I was just, dating the hardest working man and he just did everything he needed. And then all of a sudden I got pregnant and became lazy. I don't think that's the case. I think all the red flags are there. I think that people just simply tend to ignore them. And let's not forget, this is self-inflicted. We may not like to admit it. It's brought on ourselves. It's the decisions that we made.
you have an apartment rent, you're not making any money. Are you behind on your apartment rent?
Yes.
How far?
At the moment, 15 days, and they're wanting to file eviction paperwork today.
Okay, let's have real talk here. This could have all been avoided. What I feel bad for is I feel badly for the child. That's who I feel badly for. This was all avoidable. Didn't have to happen. Didn't have to choose this particular person. Didn't have to have this particular event. It was a choice. Short of it being an act of crime, okay? Short of it being a criminal act, which is a totally different thing. So assuming this was not a criminal act where there are prosecutors and police and all of that, this was all voluntary decisions.
After 15 days.
Well, yeah, I remember I was 6 days. I was $6 late. No, excuse me, $6 short on my rent. This is when I was renting before I got my condo. $6 short. Accidentally. I always overpaid my rent, and so I had just, for whatever reason, I had gotten confused that the 6 I rented as an overpayment of 6 because almost all the time I would overpay my rent. So I just like, oh good, I'm $6 over. This was very common for me to be over. Well, it turns out I was actually $6 under. They put an illegal notice on my door that said if you don't pay within 72 hours. I went to the office and screamed at them. I didn't really scream. I just said, do you guys really think this is appropriate? And they're like, oh, we're so sorry, yada yada, whatever. Okay. Yeah, so 15 days and this is rent due. Yeah, I can see them putting a legal notice on the door.
Pretty hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is this your first time missing a payment?
Yes,
Oh, it is.
it is. And that's, I think, why I'm in panic mode.
She should be in panic mode, because what you start to realize is all the decisions that you've made, they snowball. Decisions you make snowball.
You mean you've never been late, and after 15 days they're filing eviction?
Correct. Yep. And they said that that's just their policy, I guess. I don't really know how to.
Well, especially now more than ever, because with the eviction moratorium, landlords, big and small, were stuck having to keep people in their buildings. They couldn't evict them because of COVID. And so millions, maybe not millions, but thousands of landlords lost money. Thousands, probably tens of thousands lost money. So now they're not going to let you just sit and write anymore. Where maybe, before COVID and all of that, it would be try to work with you. Now it's just like, no, because so many landlords have been burned financially by people taking advantage of the no eviction, can't, put you out on the street sort of thing.
Fight that part of it.
Yeah, it may take 4 months or something in Indianapolis. I don't know. That may be why they go ahead and get started. I don't know what the law is there, but
let's remember again, okay? Could this have been avoided? Could this situation have been avoided? Absolutely, it could. It was the decision not to avoid it, and I'm not speaking for personal experience as far as being a parent, but I look at my past, history. Could I have avoided a lot of my financial misery? Yeah, I could have.
you need to find that out, okay? Because fear of the unknown is more fearful than fear of the known.
True.
So you need to find out what the law is in the area, how long it's going to take them to evict you, and what what you can do to make that right. How much is your apartment rent?
It is $1,500 a month.
Okay, and what are you making with hair?
Oh, with hair. Oh, geez. I imagine. I'm thinking here. Depends on how long she's done it. I hope she's breaking at least 40,000 a year. I hope.
Just with hair is probably about $1,200 a month.
Okay,
So
and what
side
about
hustles
other
included.
side hustles?
Side hustles included, I've been able to pull about $2,500.
Okay, and you didn't pay your rent. What did you pay?
And those side hustles are going to be near impossible to do with the baby in tow. And if she doesn't have family support, who's going to watch the baby?
Pay instead.
I have a car payment that I pay monthly.
How much is it?
It is $250.
Okay. Is it current?
No, it is not.
She didn't pay yet either. What did you pay?
So I have paid my Wi-Fi bills, my electricity, all of my utilities are up to date.
Well, you made
which is good.
$3,700. Where did it go? I mean, I understand 500 of that maybe going towards those basic bills.
Well, rent is $1,500, so let's just wipe out half of that.
Oh, no. The total of all of my income is $2,500 a month.
Oh, okay. So you make $1,300 with the side hustles.
Correct.
Got it. That's still a big chunk of change.
It's not as much as they think. Rent is $1,500. So if she's making $2,500, that gives her $1,000 left. Now take away, let's just round off car and gas and insurance. Okay, car, gas, and insurance. Let's just round that off to $400. $250 for the car, another $150 for insurance, gas. So let's just make the cars, $400. All right. So now we're at $1,900. That gives her $600 left, plus cell phone, electric, internet. I mean, it goes down real fast, and we haven't included baby formula and food. So no, this is not a lot.
That is unexplained.
Actually, I just explained it. That's where it is.
Yes, and I think part of it is probably the trade-off with some of those side hustles. So I've been doing a lot of things with my car.
But these side hustles, when you have a baby, I don't think are going to be so easy to do. It's easy to do side hustles. I mean, I can do a little side hustle, being child-free. But once you got baby in tow, these side hustles I imagine, I could be wrong, I would imagine these side hustles become very difficult to do.
Here in the last 30 days is really when it has absolutely crashed. And I think this is kind of just a rough patch for me because I've been able to keep up.
I think it's going to be harder than a rough patch, at least for a while. A rough patch to me is, just, a few months, we'll get past this. You have a baby coming. The rough patches are just starting.
But here in the last 30 days, it's just been kind of a disaster, and I've fallen behind in the last 30 days.
Okay. Here's the thing. You have to find a way to make actual money net of expenses. So driving your car around with DoorDash and making no net profit on the door dashing doesn't make sense.
And running around 8 months pregnant door dashing just doesn't seem like it makes much sense either.
That's what's happening after you pay your car expenses, right? Like gas, okay? So you might be better off doing something else. But 1,300 on side hustles tells me you're not working much.
Well, here's the thing. Let's just get reality here. If like attracts like, to some extent, not saying always, all right? If like attracts like to some extent, she and this dude that she hooked up with at one point were attracted to each other. Were these the two most motivated people in the world? It's just something to think about. Okay? This reminds me of years ago, like over 10 years ago, here in Tampa. One of my gal pals and I decided that we were going to do late night at Village Inn, just before they closed all the Village Inn restaurants in Tampa. Okay, and Village Inn, for those who may not know, it's kind of like a Denny's. It's just a cheap, well, not cheap now, but it's just a general, family restaurant. Nothing fancy, okay? And the waitress, it was 11 p.m. We were just out having a fun girls' night. And she and I decided to go to Village Inn, and there was a gal there, and she, waitress, and very clearly pregnant, due and like within, I think, a month or two, not more than 2 months. And I remember her telling us that, daddy was in prison, okay, unmarried, daddy in prison, she's on her feet, baby due in 4 to 6 weeks. She planned to pretty much have the kid and then immediately get back to work. And she just briefly talked about how difficult her situation was. And, we empathize with her, but at the same time we go, dang, this is avoidable. It is avoidable. This is not a circumstance where you have no power, short of it being a crime. And we don't believe this is a crime in either this circumstance here on the show or when we were at Village Inn. It was just choices. It was just choices that, in this case, two women made.
I feel like I am not really sure how the money turnaround isn't working out. I am constantly working as far as those side hustles go. Definitely. I know things.
And it's not going to get better, honey, once you have a kid. Once you have a child, if you're thinking of working less, no, that's not going to happen.
Have flipped as far as building my hair business and trying to get clients in through the door with that. And I've heard that this is a slow season for that anyway, because it's been back to school.
She seems kind of naive to me. I don't think, just listening to this, and I'm coming from a 56-year-old non-parent, okay, but I have dealt with kids as a teacher for 18 years. I'm in my 18th year. I almost get the sense that she truly doesn't realize the situation she's put herself in. It's almost, there's a sense of naivety still. Well, if I can just, I'll just work some more hours, and this will all fix itself up. No. This is not a situation that is short term. This is not a situation that's not going away. Now, it's not to say that she can't make a great financial success of herself, be a single mom, and sits on top of the world. Okay, it's not saying that that's impossible, but I think I just sense that she really doesn't understand the precarious financial situation she is in. This is not a temporary situation. This is a situation that, I hate to say it, I see it going downhill really fast. It's I just she's naive to this. It's like she hasn't quite processed. Maybe that's what she has not processed. She's a single mom to a deadbeat dad that's not going to pay anything, and she's going to be on her own. And it doesn't matter if the laws state, oh, well, you're the father of the child, you're supposed to pay, yada, yada. Okay. Talk to a whole lot of parents who the parent that's supposed to pay child support because they've got kids under the age of 18 that don't pay it. So I think she's very naive. This is just my suspicion.
Cool, but
How many hours are you cutting hair?
I would say probably about 30 hours a week.
Yeah. And you're
She's gonna have to go up a whole lot more haircutting because someone's gonna have to pay for the diapers, the formula, from what I gather, there's a hospital bill. Okay, her haircutting is. I mean, she hasn't even started on the bangs yet.
you're working about another 20 hours a week. So you've got another 20 hours you need to be working a week. That's what I'm talking about.
And this is what she's going to do before the baby, what she's going to do after the baby. See, I would like to know what her plan is for who's going to care for this child so she stays off of welfare. Because honestly, she's headed towards the welfare program. Oh, sorry about the screen there. I moved my mouse. She's headed towards welfare.
Okay.
Except for the part that you're 6 months pregnant, which makes this very difficult. I do realize that. But we've got to change, like you mentioned, the shovel equation. Then the second equation we have to change is the prioritization. Okay? The first thing you buy is food. The second thing you buy is lights and water.
I agree.
The third thing you buy is rent.
See now, here's the thing now. Okay, I disagree with that. I would rather be hungry with a roof over my head than well fed sitting out on the street. That's just me. The roof over my head. For all my 2 bankruptcies and everything else I've ever had in life that was a financial disaster, I kept that roof over my head. Always. Because I would rather have a roof over my head, go to bed on a bowl of oatmeal, all right, than be out on the street well fed.
The fourth thing you buy is car payment. So you make enough right now to, and I don't know what you're netting on that side hustle, but you make enough gross coming in to have been current with everything if you had it properly prioritized. Do you?
When rent is, if she said 2,500, like I said earlier, if rent is 1,500, I'm telling you, I make 60K a year, all right? If rent is, she takes home 2,500, this isn't as much money, I think, as Dave Ramsey thinks it is. It's really not. She said her rent was 1,500. Just right off the bat. Just take that right off the top. She's only talking maybe an extra 1,500 left.
You follow me?
Yes.
Okay, so what we've got to do in this crisis situation is we have to figure out where we can come up with $1,500 the fastest.
But how's she going to maintain this after the baby comes? Okay, so she comes up with the extra 1,500 doing all this extra stuff. But now that's going to be transferred to, now someone's got to take care of the child. How's she going to pay for that? There are a lot of questions I wish she had asked, Does she have family? Let's see, this is what I would have asked. Do you have family in the area? Because do you have family who are able and willing to take care of the child? Because those sorts of questions, we got to look at. I'm almost more concerned for this girl about what she's going to do financially after the baby than what she's doing before the baby. I mean, yeah, she obviously needs to make plans before, but really, what are you going to do when the baby is here? Where is baby going to go? I remember in junior high, we had to do the little thing. I don't know if they do this anymore, but we had to carry an egg around for like 2 days, or was it 3 days? It wasn't very long, but it was just, it's probably about 2 because an egg would go bad kind of fast. Maybe it was even for a day. It wasn't long, but you had to carry this egg and you couldn't drop it, okay? Because that was your child. That just kind of reminded me of that.
From all
Okay.
sources and news sources, what we can sell and what you can go do from there. How old are you?
Good.
27.
Okay. Well, Kathy, it sounds like you're alone and pregnant and scared.
Could this have been avoided? Gee, Carrie, it sounds like you've had 1 bankruptcy, 2 bankruptcy, and you're alone. Could any of this been avoided? Yeah. Better decisions and more information. And maybe that's just what she needed. Better decisions and more information. I genuinely believe, I think the video is pretty much over. I genuinely believe she has a lot of growing up to do as far as truly understanding the situation she's in. I get this idea that she has not fully processed. I mean, she knows she's pregnant clearly, but something just tells me she has not fully processed the financial situation she's walking into, and she's still kind of existing somewhat in the pre-pregnancy days. Maybe it's like that when you're a parent. I don't know, but I do know that she's going to grow up pretty darn fast. All right, I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit Chat. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you will consider subscribing, and you have a beautiful day. Bye.